New Artist Spotlight Podcast.
Hi everyone and welcome to this week's New Artist Spotlight Podcast. I'm Lisa Haden and I'm here with my co-host
Origin Cross, and it is good to be back in the building today. And today we have a great guest on, somebody who I'm excited to talk to because we share the same genre. Today we got TJ4Play.
Appreciate it, man. I'm very grateful to be here. Go by the name TJ4Play. My little slogan is, my name's a joke, I'm not. So hopefully by the end of the podcast interview and just the conversation that we're going to have, I hope to prove that to all y'all. But I'm very grateful to be here.
That's dope. I saw that on your Instagram too, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I have to ask about that.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a fun story. I look forward to getting into that a little bit later.
Let's do it. What led to that name?
So the name TJ4Play actually came from a friend of mine who passed away in college. So it was kind of my way of paying homage to him. He was a very charismatic person, a very comedic person. So this is like a nickname he gave me in college that kind of stuck to me when I started making my own music. It just felt like the name that really embodies my style the most, because I have like a big shock value when it comes to what I look like versus what I sound like.
Excellent. So can you tell us a little bit about your music and sort of your journey to being a recording artist?
Absolutely. Thank you. I would say that my journey has really been hip-hop, like 90s based, lyrical. That's really my style. I really like to put a lot of wordplay and lyrical devices in my music messaging, influenced by a lot of early 90s hip-hop. So the type of music that people in the 40s and 50s really relate to more than people of my age. But I really enjoy it. And it's just something that was started as a cathartic release that turned into a career.
And then I saw you mention in your bio on Spotify, you've been influenced by artists like The Tribe Called Quest, NAS, Kendrick. Speak a little bit about what those artists and those three specifically that you mentioned, like what they mean to you and how they've influenced your style.
And then I think for me that it was almost introduced in that chronological order too. Like I found out about Tribe Called Quest. That was really one of the first hip hop groups that I got into as a kid. I just like the infusion of jazz, the way that they sampled, and then the messages that were in their music. The way the music sounded was really great. Like, it was something that got people moving, but it also had messaging in it to remind people of what's happening in the world. So I thought that it was a really clever way to be artistic and then also just to break narratives. Felt the same way about De La Soul. They were definitely a big barrier breaker in hip hop because of what they did with their music and how nonchalantly they took some of their songs, like their biggest hit being a throwaway song. Me, Myself, and I was a song that they didn't even like, but they had to put it into their album because they needed a radio record. So they threw that together and then just shot a video of them being themselves and kind of revolutionized what music videos have become. Like now people, because of De La Soul, are able to make music videos that showcase, their true authentic self. So those are really my big influences there. And then Kendrick is just from like the way that he creates a story. The storytelling aspects between him and Nas are really what I'm inspired by.
No, that's really cool.
Mm-hmm. So I noticed that you released your debut EP in 2021, and then you released your first single later that year. So can you tell us sort of how your music's progressed and changed over the last couple of years and where you see it progressing to in the future?
That's a great question. I think where it started was I was 25 years old and I was just in a place in my life where I felt like I needed to make a change. And I watched a Kid Cudi TED Talk about trying different things. And that was what spoke to me the most for whatever reason, was just writing music. So I listened to a lot of beats on YouTube that day and wrote a couple of songs and then shared them with my friends. And they all thought that it was like, they were expecting it to be awful and it was okay. Because everything that you do the first time is not going to be, your best work. But just the fact that they're like, this is okay, and we thought it would be bad, really inspired me to keep going. But my style initially was really out of a lot of anger and just trying to understand why I needed to make changes in my life and what things I was doing wrong. And what it's progressed to now is, now I've been able to match my pen with the lyrical ability that I have, as well as, being in the writing, songwriting business for the last 4 years. This has really improved my ability to convey what I'm saying and the emotion that I want the listener to feel. So that's really where I feel like my music is moving towards, is the visual identity of my artistry, and then the sound is starting to match.
Okay. I like that. And then I noticed too that like in your songs, like you've already kind of got those aspects that like really make it like interesting to listen to, where it's kind of like you're kind of doing like a call and response with yourself, and you kind of like put in those kind of creative aspects that some artists just don't have kind of coming out the gate, or they don't know to do that, to kind of add like a more interesting kind of just like different little aspects like that to the music. Like how did you, I guess even just starting out, kind of know to put like these different little parts and pieces in there to kind of keep the composition interesting?
I would say I got to give a lot of credit to my producer for that. His name is Kembari. He's really the person who put all of the beats together, engineered me the first couple of years. It was really the two of us that came up with that together, as well as, like, for me, the biggest difference I would say is my lyrical voice. So, like, the way that I talk is an octave lower than the voice that I rap in. So that usually catches people off guard. But then, like you said, the voices and the call and response and like the little Easter eggs I throw into music, a lot of that is because my producer, he would be the type of producer, like, similar to how Dr. Dre was with Eazy-E, where when I started, he was really great with coaching and helping me understand where I need to put my voice, where it's going to sound the best. And then now it's come to the point where we're like Missy and Timbaland, where we kind of just have this unspoken understanding of what we want our sound to be. And I think that that's something that makes me different. And that's really the kind of the goal, is just to be myself, but to show that me being myself is different from anyone else.
Awesome. And so where did you and your producer meet? So was that something where you actively sought a producer, or did he just hear your music?
So the story to this, I think, is really interesting. I actually went to college with my producer. So we both went to the same school for engineering degrees. And then this was about, I would say, 3 years after I graduated from college that I started making music. And through a mutual friend, he told me that he was making beats and that he was producing, looking for an artist. And, he told him that, I had an artist that was looking for a producer. So we kind of rekindled a relationship that we didn't really have in college. Like, we didn't know each other too well then, but we became friends through just the music that we made together and the bond that created from that.
Okay, that's cool. So you kind of knew of him, but it wasn't really like y'all were locked in at that time, and then the music is really what brought y'all together. Y'all built a relationship based on that.
Absolutely. Like, when I first started recording, it was, in his closet in his bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
So it was something like, you start there, and then to get into studios now, it's just a really cool transition to see where, how far we can take it.
And so when y'all started off, I know you said you were like in the closet. So does he also do like the mixing and mastering of the music, or was that something y'all would record it, send it out? Like, what was y'all's creative process, and how does that change from then to like what you're doing now?
When we started, he would do all of it. So he would record me, he would mix it, mix the vocals while he was recording me, and then mix everything, master it himself. And then over time, I've let the mastering, we usually export that out. There's actually a couple of Discord mastering engineers I think I've used. Maybe not the New Artist Spotlight, but through Discord, at least, that I've met through other channels. I know there's a really great one in Lithuania. His name is like LaFish. He did a couple of my projects. But overall, like, Kembari is the one that does a lot of the mixing, the mastering, the recording. It definitely all goes to him there.
Fantastic. So you've mentioned Discord, which I think is a nice segue into NAS. So can you tell us how you heard about NAS when you joined, and what your experience has been like with us so far?
Absolutely. So my journey with NAS began actually through Instagram. I saw one of Eddie Boo's posts. I think it was about his song. It was either that or about the Stop and Payola campaign, one of the two. And then when I made it my Twitter account, I think that was the first account that came up as well. So the curiosity in me was really what drew me to NAS. And then finding out that it was a platform that actually upheld the promises that, you know, a lot of these platforms pretend to, and say that, you know, that you can grow an organic audience. This is really the first and only place in my 4 years that has, you know, been honest about that. And the results are just as honest. Like you meet people who are from all over the world, different genres of music, we all connect over the same creativity and just the beauty that we all bring in our different experience of the world. So that's something I really enjoy about this community. And I've been here since 2023, I believe, right when I started promoting my song Old School. So I stumbled across the page. It was either there or one of the playlist websites. But once I joined and saw how seriously it was being taken with the moderators and every incentive that NAS provides artists, you know, other than just streaming, the social media aspects, you know, this podcast, for example, is another great example of just the olive branch that you offer independent artists. And, you know, we're very, very grateful for that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad that the experience that you've had here has been a good one. And it sounds like you've maybe had some experience with some other ones. So I guess just in your experience, have you seen like the other communities or supposed to be communities where they don't really like hold up those same like principles and don't really, you know, work for the artist? They're so more so trying to just build up themselves, and everybody's kind of more individual versus actually trying to, you know, build a community and actually help everybody else grow.
Yeah, so what I've noticed is it's a lot about trying to get your streaming numbers up as high as you can. So that's kind of been I would say, like the selling point of the other communities is, you know, and then those end up actually being stream teams. So those are things that usually Spotify tracks down anyway, and you end up going, you know, it's not worth it at all. You end up losing a lot of valuable time. So those are things that early on that, you know, you run into as an artist. I do think that it's kind of a blessing and a curse that, you know, you learn it through this artistry by trial and error. You know, I do wish that there were some choices I made that I didn't, but, you know, you do learn from them, and they make you wiser, and they give you the opportunity as, you know, you get older to figure out, okay, what's real and what isn't real.
And so even just talking about streams and things like that, right? Your most streamed song right now, I believe, is Old School, right?
Yes.
So you want to talk a little bit about like promoting that song and like what you did and what worked for you to get it to where it's at now?
Absolutely. So that song Old School, I wrote it in I think late 2021 or early 2022. And the promotion for it, I shot a video in a warehouse with a microphone hanging down because, you know, I wanted to give a 90s aesthetic to it, a kind of like rustic look. And the video was shot just beautifully, like it turned out exactly how I wanted it to. And it was really through promoting that through Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and then performing it all over Philadelphia. That's the city that I'm based out of. Performing it all over the city and then the areas surrounding it. It just opened so many doors of competitions and then chances to open for artists. And so it's kind of been a snowball thing where it wasn't a promotion where I had an intention at first. It was something where the song really didn't do very well for a year. And then when I joined NAS, it was around the time where it really started to take off. So I am grateful for being a part of the community for that as well, because it really helped me understand that, you know, people all over the world can listen to good music. It doesn't just have to be in the United States or in the country that you're from. One thing that I think is really cool about the streaming is it shows you what countries are listening to your music and what cities. So it's really cool to see the diversity. You know, you'll have Nigeria, you'll have Ukraine, Japan. So it's all over the world. I think it's really dope.
Fantastic. So you mentioned briefly just that you do gigs, but you've also entered competitions. So what competitions have you entered, and how effective has that been for you? Has it helped you to promote your songs or yourself?
I think the biggest thing from the competitions is something like in terms of personal development as an artist. I don't necessarily know if the prizes are always what, you know, you want. Because I've done a few where, you know, for cash prizes. I've done ones where it was opportunities to go to festivals. Like last year, I won a competition in Philadelphia to go to Texas for South by Southwest. But for the most part, what I take away from the competitions is just seeing the progression of my artistry from 3 years ago to where I am now, and to, you know, where I'd like to see myself 3 years from now, and so on. But most of the events that I do, like, are shows that I throw, you know, obviously headlining open mic, trying to stay active in the Philadelphia community. Competitions I've done in Atlanta, New York, Phoenix. So I've traveled a little bit, and then I was out in Ohio for an award show back in December. So it's been really cool the last 2 years just to see all the opportunities that are starting to open up.
So what would you say was your method? Like, how did you get into the right places and positions to be able to have those opportunities, right? Like, did you know people? Did you kind of just seek it out, do research that led you to be in all those different places performing and having opportunities? Or like, talk a little bit about that, because I think artists need to know kind of like, what is a path from I record music, I put it on the internet, to I can actually go places and see things and get in front of people with what I'm doing.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful question. For me, I mean, I started at the open mic level. I went on Eventbrite. I went on different websites that were around the city of Philadelphia, and just to find anyone that had an open mic. And like the first 6 months of my artistry after I recorded the EP, I just went everywhere I could and just performed it, and just built up a network of artists and people that ended up becoming fans and consumers of my music. And then throughout Philadelphia, starting to gain information about venues and who owns the venues, where, who to email about opportunities, different spots across the city that are really popular, like in downtown, for example. So it went from the open mic networking to doing venues in the downtown part of the city. And then from there, just meeting people that were in different cities. So whenever I traveled, because I'm not from Philadelphia, I'm from Maryland, so I would go home to visit my parents. And when I would do that, I would perform. So I would do shows in Baltimore as well. But traveling, meeting artists in different cities, and then connecting with them was, for me, the way that I was able to start to build.
And so
that's really cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
Being from Maryland, being based out of Philadelphia, I know a lot of times some artists kind of have a view that it's kind of harder to catch on, like where you're from versus going somewhere else and then kind of picking up steam there, and then the people from where you're from kind of start to come along. Was that part of your experience at all, or did it happen differently for you?
I mean, amazingly, it was almost the opposite. Like, I am from Baltimore, but I went to college in Philadelphia, built a lot of friendships, people my age around that time. So a lot of more of my college friends will come to my shows. For them, it was just more, I don't think it was a doubt. I think it was just more of a culture shock of a person that they knew from college is now rapping. So it was just like a 180, because the person that I was before, it would have never have happened. It's very hard to believe. So I think that because of that, they come to see it at first, be like, I need to see what he's doing. I can't believe he's rapping. And to listening to it and being like, oh my goodness, it's dope. So it's been a really cool thing. It hasn't really been difficult to convince any of my friends, that I'm taking it seriously and that this is something that I want to, spend my life doing.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. So, with regards to your music or just creativity in general, what do you believe is the purpose? Like, you've spoken about your friends and how it was nice to see them shocked and to see you moving from an engineer to an artist. What is your purpose, do you believe, as a creative person?
For me, I really believe that the creative job is to be a mirror of what's happening in the world, more so, in your backyard too. Those are the artists that I was always inspired by, were ones that could turn a very dark situation into a hit song or into a record or project that just has so many messages in it. So like for the Tribe Called Quest, Midnight Marauders, that project, or Low End Theory, either one of them, they tell such a masterful story. For me, that's something where I get my biggest amount of inspiration from is just seeing, artists that are able to tell the story. And it's so relatable that most people can feel the emotions that the artists are trying to convey.
You say that, the first thing that pops in my head, for me at least, is Tupac and Brenda's Got a Baby, and then so many other songs that he has. But when you say like being a reflection of your world and of your backyard, I think that's kind of like, in my head, that's like a perfect example of that being executed just top tier. And I know you
that
mentioned,
song is man. Oh.
yes. Yeah. And you mentioned all the like the artists, the Tribe Called Quest, De La Soul. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think you said you kind of got started at around like the age of 25.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
I started when I was 25. Yep.
okay, and that was when you put out the EP back in 21.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then you spoke a little bit about 3 years ago versus what you want 3 years from now. So kind of looking forward, right? What like where do you hope to be? Like what do you like what's the goal for you, the top for you?
At this point, I guess the best equivalent that I can look at, there's an artist out of Atlanta named Currency. He's an independent artist strictly, and a lot of people, at least in the mainstream media, might not know who he is, but he could pack out any show that he closed throughout the United States and beyond. That's really like the first goal that I have. I want to be able to get to that level as an artist. And then from there, just try to build and really create business off of it.
Okay.
Obviously, whatever happens in 3 years is, happens. So I'm prepared for anything, but that's really where I would like to see myself as this artistry progresses.
Got you. So you mentioned Currency. There's guys like Russ and LaRussell.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, LaRussell's doing great things right now.
Yeah,
he really is revolutionizing the independent scene.
Yeah, and he's like his model is what like basically it's like pay whatever you want for whatever, right? And that's an interesting approach to marketing, to growing yourself, right? Is name your price, and that's I feel like it's risky, right? But he's proven that it is a viable way to be able to reach people and to be successful, right? He can, like you said, he can pack out shows whenever he wants to. He can sell and make a profit off of merch and tickets and whatever else. So yeah, I mean, guys like that, like, are there any of those guys that you're kind of looking at and like what the blueprint that they're building and trying to like take parts and pieces from to take on your path?
Absolutely, yeah. LaRussell is a great example of it because there's another initiative that he does where he allows his fans to own stock ownership of his music and to collect royalties off of it. Which again, very risky thing to do as an artist, but I think that's a really awesome way to treat your music like a business and saying that this is my art and the fans are the stockholders, so to speak. So it's the way that he approaches it. He approaches it like it's a business, and I think that was something that was really hard for me to accept at first. I was the type of artist that wanted to just be cathartic and put a lot of messages in my music and just share how I was feeling. And then over time, as more and more people started to listen to my music and become fans, I realized I had an obligation to really understand the business side of the music as well.
I like that. It's really dope.
So can you tell us about the track that you've asked us to play for you today?
Yes, I can. So this is going to be my latest release called Last Laugh. It's on the NAS All-Star playlist, I believe. And I kind of wrote this song as a lyrical exercise at first. And then it really turned into something that became a song that's written for anyone that's been ever told that they weren't good enough or they weren't blank enough to do something. Like to me, I feel like people are motivated by yes or they're motivated by no. So this is kind of for the people that are motivated by no.
Awesome. Do us the honor of giving the song the introduction and we'll jump into it.
All right. So this is Last Laugh by TJ4Play. Again, it's a song about anyone that's ever been told that they weren't good enough or they weren't blank enough to get something done. This is for y'all.
Are you there, Kembari?
We gon' ride the game blind, like Slick Rick. We on some sick shit, origin of a picnic. Red lipstick, left her over the dresser, Lord bless her. She just wanna king me, Nebuchadnezzar. Flying pressure for cheddar, doubt the money could ever give a clout 9 high. We still under the weather, 7 seconds to sever. Word to Chris Webber, if a nigga start hating, I go Conor McGregor. Who the fuck is that guy? You aggravated, the black guy, I'm acclimated. The critical criminals, I'm a bad guy. incarcerated. The haters go get the paper, each letter is contemplated. Image ain't imitated, realist ain't simulated. They oversaturated, my vibe been cultivated, my mind been renovated. I don't need a blue check to know we stimulated, no need to fake it. It's authentic, love it, yeah. No hallucinogenic present, my vision up a tier. Brady won a Super Bowl with the Buccaneers, and they said Bill Belichick the puppeteer. Look at G, he be rapping now. Wow. Look at me, I'm the captain now. Wow. Back then they were laughing loud. Who the fuck is laughing now? Look at G, he be rapping now. Wow. Look at me, I'm the captain now. Wow. Back then they were laughing loud. Who the fuck is laughing now? My name ain't James, but I be worthy of fame. I'm the last out the gym, like this pen ain't paint. There's levels to my lava, I just levitate. Heaven's gates, only place higher than my mental state. New lease on life is now a rental place. Went from pencil A's to potential estate. Stay humble, pro it now, so profound. Bruce Buffer down the rumble. Knock, knock, race for all hits. Mixed split with sick grips. How my mom with this quick. We on point ballistic. Ball points of distance. Spitting facts on tracks, no cap, that's a fact statistic. Pen and pad is cryptic. My wrist arthritic. Don't write enough. Belladonna kid a mystic. Don't you miss this? Everybody love Raymond and they hated Chris. Send this to my critics. Hey. Look at G, he be rapping now. Wow. Look at me, I'm the captain now. Wow. Back then they were laughing loud. Who the fuck is laughing now? Look at G, he be rapping now. Wow. Look at me, I'm the captain now. Wow. Back then they were laughing loud. Who the fuck is laughing now?
Who the fuck is laughing now?
All right, TJ, thank you for letting us play that track. Dope track. Like you said, I think you said you kind of started off as a lyrical exercise, and that's one thing that I definitely picked up on listening to your music and catching up on your catalog is like your writing style. Like you really take your pen seriously, right? And lyricism as a whole, I feel like isn't really like isn't stressed as much in today's scene, right? So what drives you to actually kind of still like hold true to like the core of being an MC and actually like trying to push your pen and trying to, write the best raps that you can write?
Yeah, I think for me it's, obviously my influences, but another big reason why I think I'm so lyrical and the way that my brain connects things is because of my grandmothers. They both were school teachers. So my one grandmother would watch me after school every day, and instead of asking me how my day went, she'd hand me a piece of paper and ask me to summarize it in like 5 sentences. So from a very young age, I learned how to read and write. So I was always expressing myself through writing. And I think that was the reason where for me, I had to be a lyrical artist. I felt like I would be selling myself short if I was somebody that just wasn't using my brain the right way or the way that it, makes sense for me. And I feel like lyricism is something that is a separator too, because again, most people don't really think about the entendres and the devices that artists, especially the MCs from the 90s, used to convey messages. So that's something that's very important to me, and I appreciate that you guys picked up on it too.
So yeah, that's one thing that I enjoyed from your songs is each one felt like a sort of short story. And I really enjoy that. I don't like it when a song is just, it almost feels pointless. It's just putting something out there to have something out there. Yours seems to have direction. There's a reason for each song, which I really enjoyed.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And it's, again, an amazing thing as artistry because, you don't really notice it at first. The first few songs I put out was just out of anger and me needing to let things off my chest and put it out in a creative form. And then again, what it's turned into now, there is much more intention behind what the visual is that I want to create for the artist and then, for the consumer. And then the sound wise is just trying to continuously get better and be creative and try things that I haven't tried before.
Yeah, and then when you talk about kind of writing from a place of anger and venting and emotion, it kind of brings this like air of like what's the way to put it? Like a kind of just like a darkness or gloominess or an ominous feeling. And it seems like every week there's something that happens on this show that would embody a kind of dark, gloomy, ominous feeling. And it's about time for that to happen right now.
Oh no.
And I have to ask, are you familiar with what's about to happen?
I believe I am. It's time for the Quickfire Five.
It's time for the Quickfire Five.
Here we go. That's what I'm here for. Here we go.
Lisa, you want to tell them what the rules are?
Okay, so we're going to throw 5 questions at you. You have 15 seconds per question to give us an answer. And that's basically it. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Okay. Origin, you're going to kick things off?
I'll start us off. Question number 1 for you. What does it actually mean to be an artist?
To me, to be an artist means that you are being authentically yourself and decorating the space with your thoughts and experiences.
Fantastic. Right, question number 2. What's your favourite song on the NAS Artist Spotlight playlist?
That would have to be Groove City Funk by William Lovett. That's one of my favorites. It was a song I think that came on when I was in Shuffle a couple months ago. Amazing track. I listen to it almost every day now.
Question number 3, what is your favorite song of all time?
My favorite song of all time is The Message, the original version by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five.
Okay. Question number 4. What is your guilty pleasure song, a cheesy song that you wouldn't own up to listening to, but you absolutely love?
It would be California Girls by Katy Perry. I had a playlist one time with my friends on a road trip, and that was the first song that came on by accident, so they all found out about it.
It's a good song. Question number 5. What is the definition of a successful life for you?
Definition of success for me is that my children have a better life than I do.
I love that one.
Mm-hmm.
You did it. I think you successfully completed the Quickfire 5.
Let's go.
Nice. So, since you have survived, I guess we'll give you an opportunity here, right? I mean, for everybody who's just getting to know you, for anybody who may hear this now or down the line, right? Is there any thoughts, anything you want to share with them?
I mean, other than my gratitude for being here, I would just, again, try to echo the message that I try to send to people, which is it's okay to be yourself. I don't know who needs to hear that, but some people, they grow up in an environment where they don't feel like that they're allowed to be their true authentic selves. So that's one of the things that for me is really important as an artist, is to let people know it's okay to be you, whatever that means, and however you have to express that, it's okay to be you.
I love that message. Absolutely love it. And I think that's an important thing to teach your children as well, to be themselves, to be an individual. Don't follow the herd. Mm-hmm. It's okay to be who you are. So where can we follow you? How can we stalk you, basically?
Absolutely. You can find me, again, on Instagram, on YouTube, on TikTok, under TJ4Play, the letter T, the letter J, the number 4, PLAY. And then the same thing on all streaming services, TJ4Play. And then again in Discord, I think it's also TJ4Play. So don't be shy. Feel free to DM me. I'm a pretty chatty guy.
Awesome. Well, I really enjoyed getting to talk to you, getting to know you. If we had more time, I'd definitely ask you some more questions, probably on finding your voice and that process too. So we may have to run it back again and do this again.
Mm-hmm.
But for the people who help us keep this going, right? The people who are sharing everything that we're doing, who are giving us opportunities to go on the platforms and and promote ourselves and just grow and reach a bigger audience, right, to the entire NAS community. We definitely want to say thank you guys for all that you do. And we will definitely be back again next week with more amazing artists, more talented guys like TJ4Play and girls like Lisa Haden. And thank you guys for joining us for another week.
We'll
Thanks
see
for
you
that.
next week.
Take care, guys. See ya.
Take care.
New Artist Spotlight.